Welcome to the Old Glory Renovations podcast, the podcast about home renovations from the home renovations experts. Hosted by Rob Hefner and Mike Landry. The Old Glory Renovations podcast wants to show you how to enjoy your home renovations.
Rob's show taught me a lot.
Choosing the right contractor for the job doesn't have to be scary, and home renovations are built to enjoy and be fun.
I got so much more for my money.
Now, here are your hosts for the Old Glory Renovation podcast, Rob Hefner and Mike Landry.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Old Glory Renovations podcast show. We do this every week. It's my name is Mike. I'm with Rob.
Good evening.
King of Contracting, my buddy. All right, we're going to be talking about kitchen remodels and kitchen facelifts today. So this is specifically targeted content to get you guys up to speed of what's possible and what's trending right now. The first thing we're going to start off with is kitchen facelifts. Now, this is the focus of taking kitchens that were built in the 70s, 80s, 90s, that had the on-site built cabinets, that had the plain doors or had some personality, but you've got dated hardware. You've got a lot of things that we can do to spruce up that environment, make it look brand new, and we can get it. I mean, you can take this all the way to replacing and refacing your doors, where this would look like a brand new kitchen that got built and installed there. These are all possibilities. So Rob and I are going to explore these component by component so you can see what's trending and what you should be doing if you're thinking about this. This can be a little project or it can be a big one, depending on all the things that you want to include, what your budget will bear. Rob, this is some cool stuff. Is this a hot trend right now?
This really is. Like you were talking about the cabinets or the kitchens from decades ago. The ergonomics of them, the usability of them, the livability of that space. And keep in mind, the kitchen is the heartbeat of the home. And that's where family happens. That's where not just meals are cooked, but everybody's in there multiple times a day. And a lot of folks are looking at, okay, if I'm going to be in this house for a while, then I want this kitchen to be a showpiece. I want it to be something that makes me happy every time I walk into it.
Well, I'll tell you, all the things that have evolved in the last 3 decades, from the tile pattern styles, the colors, the countertop options. You know, back then you were talking like, Corian was like high cotton back then, right? Or if they didn't have the budget to go to Corian, then they were rolling the Formica up the backsplash, right?
It's I've seen a lot of that kind of stuff. A lot of it is a matter of taste, but the pricing on updating countertops is not as bad as it used to be. The market is a little bit glutted with stone products, be it granite or something like that, quartz or some of the other products out there. And the options for a countertop, good Lord, they are practically unlimited. There's some stunningly beautiful stone out there to put on your countertops.
When you replace the countertop with a natural stone and you're going with one of those thick, you've got right now the Corian's thin, right? So you go to something that looks more substantial, and man, I'm telling you, it changes the entire feel of that space. And then when you follow that up with some of the sexy, cool, sleek glass backsplashes, natural stone, the patterns that were available back then were so limited and very underdone in those particular types of homes. And now, the world is your oyster when it comes to sex appeal, design, textures, and you put natural stone in a kitchen, and it just feels so rich.
Just a bad joke, but I like oysters, and the world is your oyster when it comes to the kitchen. You can do anything you want to in there, but selecting that countertop, whatever stone product it happens to be, whatever product it happens to be, and then matching it properly with a backsplash that doesn't just mirror the colors, but accentuates the colors and helps it splash more.
Okay,
that's
so
why they call it a backsplash.
These are things that you can do to make substantial changes in visuals in that space. So now that you've got this cool textural background with these vibrant colors that are trending right now with this new countertop, you install some of the new LED light strips for under cabinet lighting, and then replace the fixtures and add some more task lighting in there, and it doesn't even feel like your house.
Lighting matters, and it matters a lot in the kitchen. I do a lot of the cooking in our house because I love to cook. It's just kind of a hobby I have. Under cabinet lighting was absolutely a game changer. It's the reason I still have all my fingertips. But the under cabinet lighting can make such a huge difference in working in there and creating things in the kitchen. It just makes it a lot more fun to do. And it's not just the under cabinet lighting. There are so many options right now. Just changing the fixtures, changing the location of the fixtures. It's not uncommon to see kitchens that just have 4 can lights in the ceiling.
4 recess cans.
4 recess cans, and that's it.
Or just a fluorescent box on the thing.
Right. And those things were stylish at the time. This is not that time. And getting the right light in the right place at the right time. Having a light hanging, or not hanging maybe, but at least something that is going to shine towards the sink, that is going to give you the right kind of light there. And the kind of light and the quality of light you get ties back into what we were talking about, the countertops and the backsplash, because everything looks better in the right lighting.
Back then, I mean, those little hockey puck under cabinet lights, if they have them, those damn things go out like every 2 or 3 months. There'll be 4 or 5 of them that aren't working, and you're tired of replacing the bulbs. These things work for a decade.
Well, the LED lighting, which is what I have here in my house, the LED lighting it runs forever, and the cost of it is fractions of a penny, and it provides so much more light. The cool thing about LED lighting, though, is that you can, with the right lighting, you can play with colors on it as well.
Yeah, there's different hues in LED, which
right.
That provides all kind. You know what? If you want to see something really interesting, go down to Lighting Inc. They have this ceramic watermelon. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like a slice of a watermelon, and they have different lights, and they put it under one light, typical under cabinet light, and it looks rotten. Okay. And then they put it under the other light, and it looks rich and vibrant. And it's just the hues of they're both white lights, but it's the hue and the tone of that light that has that dramatic impact. It is absolutely amazing to see.
There's so many things you can do with lighting, especially in a kitchen. I built a semi-custom home years ago, and we installed a pale blue LED lighting under the kick plate, underneath the cabinets, and it was light activated. So when you turned off the light, this turned on, and it kept you from kept all your toes in place when you're tripping into the kitchen and 1 o'clock in the morning to get a glass of water. It just provided that. It just made it feel more modern, more homey, and more usable.
It's sexy.
It's
I updated,
like
sexy, man. That's what we're talking about.
I gotta admit, I really like that feature.
And I'm telling you right now, you can buy the most expensive dress in the world, and if you don't have some cool earrings and a necklace to go with it, you're talking about the lighting. This is turn off the lights and see how sexy it is. So lighting is very important. It's everything. That impacts the paint, the interpretation of the paint that you see, the countertops, all the new jewelry you're installing, the hardware on the cabinets. It brings the flooring, it brings the countertops, it brings it all to life. So that is very important and a guaranteed staple that must happen even on the smallest projects. So now let's talk about like the cabinet doors, right? Most of these doors were basically routed on site. Some of them have some trim details, some of them don't. But when they have those little hinges you can see, or they have
right.
those little Youngsdale hinges in there, the little tiny ones, right? You close the door, bam, it slams shut, right? So now you can, if you want to go this far, you can. There's hundreds of door styles. You can reface those door cabinets, pull the old doors off, put in new doors, new door facings, refinish them, and now you've got an entirely different cabinet style, which you can use your existing structures with, and then you're updating the hardware. Now the new drawer pulls and the new hinges. What options do you have there?
Well, there's a ton of options with that. Now, when you get the right lighting, you get the countertops in there, and you have the same old tired cabinets underneath it that have all the nicks from raising 17 boys in the house and all that kind of stuff, because that happens. Being able to reface those just with new doors themselves is not that hard to do. Getting soft close hinges, getting slider drawers, and that kind of thing to come out.
Full extension, soft close drawer glide, so you
right.
can actually get to the back of the drawer.
I remember being on my belly trying to get that big skillet out from underneath while my grandmother was looking at me, telling me to hurry. But now some of the drawer designs, you can just slide it all the way out and grab what you need, and you don't have to crawl around like that.
And you can slam it shut, and it's going to soft close. You won't hear anything, right?
The soft close is a really cool feature. I really like that as far as the comfort level and the ergonomics of the room itself. Now the drawer
it
pulls,
improves. It's kind of like going from a bicycle to a Cadillac. You know how Cadillac's got that nice soft ride. It just improves the elegance and the feel when you have those.
When we put those in, it's not uncommon to see somebody just sitting there opening and then closing the door and watching it do that little slow move, and then they open it again and close it again. Oh, look, that's cool. But the opening it and closing it means drawer pulls, means the right kind of thing there. There's a lot of styles that are dated. Nowadays, we're seeing a lot of flat or semi-flat, some curves to it, not completely square, not completely round. But the options on drawer pulls are even more extensive.
Oh, come on, man. Back in the 80s, if you had like 25 items to pick from, it was a miracle. And today, I mean, the world is opened up and dumped in the United States. So we have literally so many options that you'll get confused trying to pick one. So
but there's
and the
so much more
styles have
detail.
changed.
There's so much more detail than that. A while back, it's been several months, we installed drawer pulls. And the drawer pull that we installed on the flatware drawer was across the knife and fork. The drawer pulls that were on the spice cabinet were just a little salt and pepper shaker that were designed as drawer pulls. And it was a really cool way to integrate the utility of the kitchen and making it look new and make it look yours. And because that's what we want out of our house. We want to feel like it's ours. Not that somebody else designed it, but that we have had our own hand in it, and that it's comfortable to work there, and that we can be proud of it. And those little details directly address all of those things.
Hardware, again, earrings, necklace. It's part of the jewelry. It changes the entire feel of that space, and it gives it that rich, updated, current feel. Now, paint. Paint's a must. No matter what you do, you got to do new paint because all the colors have changed in terms of what we like now and what they were doing back then.
Right, and the paint to match everything else you're doing in the kitchen. Paint to cover up, 15 years of toddler handprints on the wall and having to clean it off. Because any paint will lose its luster after you wash it 50 dozen times, I raised my own kids, and I have grandkids now. So those kind of things you have to think about. Getting the right kind of paint, the right quality of paint, so that it can be cleaned and still wear and still maintain that luster matters as well. But the kitchen is a whole cohesive space. The color of the paint, the backsplash, the countertops, the drawers, and the door pulls all come together to make it that welcoming home, the heartbeat of the house you live in.
Now, one of the last big things that can be done outside of appliances, right? Because that's subjective, depending on whether you updated your appliances. Many people have, is the plumbing fixtures and the sink.
I tell you what, I have been really surprised over
now,
the
you're
last
a cooker.
6 months.
I'm not a cooker.
I love to cook, and the last house we were in, not the one we're in now, had basically it was a metal bowl for a sink. Well, that can be awkward sometimes. There's dishes going there waiting, but I got stuff I need to clean to cook it. So 2 bowls in a sink is kind of a good thing, and everybody's seen that. But oh my goodness, Mike, you should see some of the things coming out now. Just completely ergonomic designs, everything from integrated drying racks to multiple spigots for the water to come out of, depending on whether you need the high one to fill a pot. Just installing a pot filler over the stove, by the way, this is kind of an aside, but just installing a pot filler over the stove, depending on what kind of cooking you do, can be a really cool feature. And it just kind of splashes up the whole space.
The pot fillers, when I was designing and building, I was 500,000 to up to 2 million in custom homes, and that's pretty standard in the upper end homes where they're in the $200 to $300, $400 a foot. You always require us to put in a pot filler,
but they're not.
But you don't have to have $1 million house because we can put this in now simply.
They're not prohibitively expensive to put in.
Not
it's just
at all.
an extra water line you run through the wall.
And a fixture.
A
spigot to turn on.
Right. But the fixtures and everything else are, of course, you've seen the commercials for the touchless on-off kitchen faucets where you just wave your hand up and the water turns on and all that kind of thing. There's so many options now in that. It's limited by not much more than your imagination.
That's exactly right. Now, the last thing that we'll cover with regard to kitchen facelifts is improving ergonomic storage with updated hardware. You can install your plates in little racks that are available now.
Right.
You can put lazy Susans in dead spaces. I mean, there wasn't a lot of energy, engineering, or thought put into those big holes and sections underneath those cabinets and above as to how they were going to store stuff. It's very inefficient.
Well,
so today,
when I'm talking to homeowners about cabinets, about what kind of cabinets they want, I don't ask what kind of cabinets, how big does it need to be. I ask how they're going to use it. Because if they're going to use it for pots and pan storage, that's a specific cabinet that's designed for that. If they're going to keep all their plates and cups under there, that's a different cabinet that's designed for that. There are chef special cabinet designs to allow you to keep all of the things that you always use, keep them all handy in one drawer.
But they maximize. The one thing it's doing is maximizing the available space. So you get maximum use from top to bottom, not just stacking pots up awkwardly
right.
that make the space unusable or it not efficient, right?
It's not just maximum use of the space, but maximum accessibility to everything in there and tailoring that space to what you want to use it for. Integrated spice racks, not the one that you screw in on the back and makes the hinges fail after a few years, but integrated spice racks on the back of the door and the door's designed to hold that additional weight. Things like that just make a kitchen so much more usable,
functional,
and so much more functional and so much more yours.
Sexy. Functional and sexy. I'm going to teach you that word if it kills me. Okay, so the last elephant in the room is flooring. What is trending in flooring?
Well, the kitchen considered a wet space, so you have to have something that can handle the water when it's spilled on it, can handle all of that kind of thing. Tile is the go-to standard, but tile is not what we see in a lot of older homes. These 12-inch squares, white 12-inch squares. In my house, it has white 12-inch squares, right? And every time I get a cup of coffee, something drips, and I get fussed at about it later on. Well, there's so many different options now that will help keep it looking clean and still maintain the appearance and the feel that you want in that space. For a while there,
I'm going to tell you the sexiest thing that I've seen come out that is being used widely now.
What's that?
Even by interior designers, is the wood plank ceramic tiles.
The wood plank ceramic tiles.
Those things look great, man.
Well, the beauty of those is you can carry that wood plank look and feel throughout the entire floor.
Exactly.
Right. So you can make it all integrated. Instead of the kitchen being a separate space, you tie it into everything else with that same flooring. And I love those 3-foot tiles, the wood look tile flooring. And the technology that makes those have become just stunningly beautiful.
There's
Just some
endless-
really awesome stuff.
Endless ceramic tile options, endless porcelain tile options. So, I mean, again, just like you said, the world's your oyster in this particular case. So, with facelifts, you can do as few of these items or as many of these items to your kitchen through this company.
Right.
And because the guys are on staff here, so you do little projects and you do big projects. It just depends on the budget. And you can do stage projects. We're going to do this stage 1 in December, and January we'll do stage 2. It's your choice. This company is specifically designed to cater to the customer's needs. Now, when we get back from this break, we're going to be talking about kitchen redesign. That's gutting the space, starting over, new designs, ripping out walls if you choose. But there's no rules in this space.
There's no rules at all in that space, and that can be very entertaining. The design part of it alone it's just fascinating to me.
Hang with us. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more of the Old Glory Renovations podcast. Old Glory Renovations revolutionized the industry to put the customer in total control. There's little to no deposit to begin work, weekly invoicing only on completed work, weekly itemized labor and material cost for invoicing, eliminating wasting your money with overpriced turnkey estimates. Their trade labor are on staff and not subcontractors. They don't leave projects sitting dormant for days or weeks or waiting on a subcontractor. They have proper general liability insurance coverage. Call Old Glory Renovations now and take control while maximizing your buying power. Old Glory, trust, honesty, confidence. Taking the fear out of home improvement. 281-546-8836 or online at oldglorytx.com. The Old Glory Renovations podcast, helping you enjoy your renovations. Now let's get back to Rob and Mike.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging with us on the Old Glory Renovations show. We're going to be covering gutting a kitchen and redesigning the space. That has all kinds of possibilities. They are infinite. There are many people that want to take out a wall, put in a beam to open up the space to make it more open, which is more common in today's design world. And Rob and I are going to be talking about that now. So, when what is the process if you're going to go in and gut the kitchen and start over? What happens with the customer?
Well, we don't want to get too technical on it because we only have another however many minutes we have. But the first thing we do is we walk in and sit down at the table and say, what's your vision? What do you want to see in this kitchen? What do you want it to feel like? A lot of the most common answers is the kitchen's closed off from the rest of the house. I want to be able to be a part of everything that's going on in the living room, even though I'm in the kitchen. The kitchen just doesn't work. It doesn't fit. It's hard to work in. There's not room for more than one person at a time. How do we make it more usable without increasing the space? Or how do we make it more accessible by removing walls? Or maybe I just want to move that wall altogether and give myself an extra, 20 feet of cabinets.
Well, but when you take that wall out, it decompresses that space. You can pull the fur downs out, push the cabinets all the way to the ceiling, because now everything's manufactured cabinets are the way to go. We're not site building these things today. There's just a huge amount of limitations, and all the cool features, like when you go to a car dealership and you get into the more expensive cars with the souped up radios and all the functionality, the manufacturers of these cabinet manufacturers have put millions and millions of dollars into engineering and providing all the cool features that go in these cabinets to maximize ergonomic design and function, and to be able to provide the finishes like a brand new manufactured car. It's got that sexy finish on it. So they've provided all the textures, all the colors, all the capabilities from a low-end budget to a super high-end budget. It just depends on what your budget will bear. But the key to that whole thing is trying to site build that today is just it's not a good idea. Okay, it's not going to look sexy. like you look at these manufactured cabinets in the showroom. So the key now, are there projects that you do some site building?
Absolutely.
Okay, because we're adding on to an existing cabinet base or something like that.
It may be a custom cabinet, a wall built in or something like that, and they want it to look a certain way. So, yeah, we can do that on that space. But generally, when we're talking about in a kitchen and what the cabinets are, the first question is, what don't you like about this one? You know, what's your vision for what it needs to be? And then how do you use it? I have a client right now that doesn't do any cooking. They really don't care about cooking. So the cabinet space just isn't that important to them. Just put in boxes. That's good enough. But we worked on a home in Galveston a while back that cooking was her thing. It was her passion. And she spent days agonizing over which specific cabinet style to get for each one of those cabinets based on what she did in the kitchen. And it's no longer just a box that you put under there. Define what that box is going to do for you and find one that can do that. And those options are out there now. And they're just as beautiful, just as well built as anything else. There are cheap cabinets out there, but I'm not going to install them.
Well, but you're maximizing. Basically, a cabinet is a big hole. And if you go open the cabinet doors and you've got older cabinets that were site built, you're going to see a partial shelf in there and just a big hole. And you try to stack things up the best you can, but they weren't designed to ergonomically accommodate all these plastic cups and plates and all these different things to maximize space. You're just stacking things up, and it's very inefficient. And that's one thing they acknowledge. So when you open your cabinet doors and you look inside, they're all painted interiors, right? It's not sexy, but it's painted. When you open the new manufacturer cabinet doors, there's furniture finish interiors. You know, you've got all these different holders of plates, pots, everything stored efficiently. It looks great. You've got all these options. Now, you don't have to buy those things, but they're available to you.
There's a ton of stuff available for you. And that makes a full kitchen redesign always a challenge in the design phase. Once we have the design phase set, then it comes down to demolition and getting ready to go with what we have to do to put it back together. There's always challenges that come up in kitchens. For example, a fur down, just that little square up against the ceiling. You think it's just a fur down, but a lot of times you'll find electrical in there or plumbing in there, and don't know until you open it up and see what's in it. But those things, a lot of those are coming out. Fur downs are going away. Cabinets extending up to the ceiling. Upper cabinets, obviously, extending up to the ceiling.
You can add trim, a lot of
yes.
trim. You add some crown in there. If you've got the right, if you have attic space above, you can pop the ceiling up and add a concave.
Add a coffered ceiling up in there.
Ceiling in there to give you more volume. I mean, you go to anybody's kitchen, I will guarantee you, if they bought the house, they didn't design it for themselves, they're going to have all kinds of issues. I want more plugs in here. I don't have enough plugs over there. I don't have a plug in my island. You know, I want a sink in my island. I want my island bigger. I mean, they're going to have a whole cadre of issues they want to resolve, right?
And I have issues I want to resolve in my kitchen.
Exactly.
As well.
Everybody does.
For the same reason. There's places where I want there to be a plug, but there's not because of what I do in the kitchen. And that's the thing about redesigning kitchens. The only thing that may be more important as far as design goes is a master bathroom. But that kitchen, it's got to be yours, and designing it in such a way that it becomes yours. That every time you walk in there and light the stove, you just have to smile a little bit just because it's so cool.
Yeah, and redesigning gives you the options on updating your appliances to go from a 30-inch cooktop to a 36 or maybe a 48. Improve the hood aesthetics and function,
or install a vent hood, or the sink that we talked about earlier.
Add a fridge that you don't have, a little mini fridge for wines and stuff like that. change the location of the dishwasher because you're left-handed instead of right-handed, add pull-out trash cans. I mean, you basically can do anything if you gut and redesign. It's going to be tailored to you like a perfect suit.
I looked at one last week. She doesn't want a refrigerator in the kitchen. Instead, we will be installing 2 drawer-type refrigerators in the island that you won't even be able to see because it's underneath the island on the side that she's working from. But you won't see a refrigerator up against a wall like every kitchen has, except this one. The creativity that went into this design is just amazing.
Well, that's the difference between a reface and a complete gut and redesign is you're dealing with no rules. You not have to deal with existing cabinets and the cutouts for the existing appliances and have to buy stuff to fit in that hole. You have no rules. It's a totally new space, tailored for you, and that is what we call ecstasy in construction and happy customers.
It is, and it's fun to do. I like transforming a space like that, taking something that's dated, a little drab maybe, and turning it into something that's just a showpiece where my customers are calling their neighbors to come look. That's what I want to leave.
And the fact that you've redesigned the business model for this industry maximizes that customer's buying power and gives them complete control. And I'm telling you right now, your customers are elated about that once they experience it. I mean, when you got forensic accountants hiring you to do remodeling, you know your daddy.
Yeah, that was interesting, but we could keep it all satisfied because that's what we do. You mentioned earlier phasing a kitchen remodel or phasing any kind of remodel. Well, the line item bid process allows us to do that because how much is going to be for the floor? Well, that's all I have in my budget right now, so we'll do that. I did a 8-page bid. It's a huge bid on a house down in Galveston 2 weeks ago. But we're only doing 2 items off that bid right now. The rest of them are hanging tight until she has the money together.
Future projects, right?
But it gives her the...
There's not another remodeler that will do that.
But it gives her the visibility. She now has a financial goal. Instead of hoping she has enough money, she knows that she can get the next step that she wants done for this amount. So she can save with a specific goal in mind instead of just hoping she has enough money when she wants to call an next remodeler.
Well, Rob, that's one wrap. Kitchens.
That one's wrap. I love working in kitchens.
Facelifts, and kitchen redos. Give Old Glory Renovations a call today, 281-546-8836, 281-546-8836, or just find them online where you can find these podcasts on their website at oldglorytx.com.
Looking forward to hearing from you.
All right. Tune in next week for our next show.
That's all for this week's Old Glory Renovations podcast. Tune in next week when Mike and Rob help you enjoy your renovations. Find out more at oldglorytx.com.